Welcome back to the Lovin Dubai show. Andy Fordham was cycling a route he had ridden more than 200 times. He thought it was the easiest and safest way to reach his home in Town Square when he was hit by a car. Andy is the founder of Dubai Cycling Community Facebook group 10 years ago and is more aware than most of the lives that have been claimed by cycling accidents on the roads.
So Andy is here with us today to talk about safety on the roads for cyclists and how he overcame the accident. Welcome to the show, Andy.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. It's good to be here for the first time.
10 years, a big member of the cycling community in the UAE, and then in the last number of weeks you were involved in a horrific road accident that nearly took your life. Can you tell us about the accident?
Yeah, I can. 5 years ago I moved to Town Square. It was a developing new community. My main reason for moving there was A, we had to move, and B, the fact that 95% of cyclists will put their bikes in the back of the car and drive to Al Qudra and go in the car park. I thought this is going to be brilliant. I can just go there because where I come from in New Zealand, we don't have the gorgeous cycle tracks that we have here, and I've been used to riding on roads and dodging potholes and people opening car doors and everything else. So I consider myself quite a proficient, aware cyclist. It's a very short commute from Town Square. It's about 400 or 500 meters from when you exit Town Square till you get to the roundabout. Once you get to the roundabout, I use incredibly animated hand signals. I occupy a lane on the roundabout to get around the roundabout, watching everything that's going on. I only do it during daytime. Get on the track, go and do your cycle ride, and when we come back, we actually ride in reverse, which some people may think is a bit sort of bonkers. But because
what does that mean?
The way we went up, we come back the same way in reverse. Because if you try to come back from the cycle track and try to get on the roundabout in the correct way that all the cars are going, because the cars are on the roundabout, they're already going too fast, and 99% of them are going down Al Qudra Road towards Ranches. So you can never get fully round the circle to come back to Town Square. And likewise, because Town Square is on the opposite side of the track, you end up having to ride on the shoulder of the road into, with the traffic coming towards you, you still have a reasonable width of a road that you can do this on. So what I did on this particular day is, as I came off the track and I was on the road, I assessed that the roundabout was full of cars, so no car was going to enter the roundabout from the Al Qudra Road coming down Al Qudra Road onto the roundabout. Got past the first car, right in front of the second car, and he spied a gap and pulled out in front of me. Now, my saving grace was he'd only just moved out, so he'd only moved about 2 meters from his stop point where he had actually collided with me and hit my left side and bounced me into the road. And he didn't actually move much further. I ended up breaking the top of my tibia, didn't have any other injuries other than road rash. But, my takeaway from this is it doesn't matter the fact that I've probably ridden 200,000 kilometers in my life. It doesn't matter the fact that I consider myself a good cyclist. It doesn't matter the fact that I've got an expensive bike. You do not accrue credits. You don't get up on the road and say, well, you've done all this before, I'm immune. Because when you go into a boxing ring with a 2,000 kilogram car, you are never going to win. This is the reality. If you are hit from behind or head on in a bike versus car accident, 99% of the time you're going to die. So for me, I'm very, very lucky. I passed out after this actually happened on the side of the road, more from the shock. I had a bit of a nap for 7 minutes, but went into hospital, had my leg operated on, got a titanium plate in my leg now. I'm a relatively well-known person within the cycling and event scene. I'm also the event director for the Dubai Ride on Sheikh Zayed Road and the Dubai Run. So I want to use my voice and my profile to say to people, if you think you are immune to this, one day your luck will run out. And I'm so lucky. Today is day 22 since my accident. Life goes on. Everything is really functional for me. I can walk around the house without crutches. I use crutches when I'm outside the house because it's a bit quicker. But in my 11 years of cycling in this country, I know of 12 people that have died at the hands of cars versus bikes. And every one of those deaths is avoidable. And this is the people that have died. I know many, many other people that have been hit by cars on the next roundabout up from Al Qudra, where the people go to Damac Hills too. That's where cars cross the track. Cars don't stop. It's just an ongoing lottery that we run, and it's not a good situation.
Speaking of cars and drivers, I come at this from a new driver. So I'm new to Dubai roads. Did you meet the driver, and is there anything the drivers could have done differently in your situation?
Yes, I did actually meet the driver last Friday because at the time the ambulance grabbed my Emirates ID, and I think they passed it to the police and then handed it back to me later on. But I sort of was in hospital for a couple of days. I didn't have any contact with the police. Thankfully, I actually have contacts with the police, so I called one of the brigadiers I knew and said, "Listen, I was involved in this accident. What do I need to do?" He connected me with the people at our Barsha police station. A week after my accident, I popped in to see them, my main reason for popping in was to actually say, "Can you please phone the guy that hit me and tell him I'm okay?" Because this was my greatest concern, because at the end of the day, whether you're at fault or you're not, and I clarify the fact that this was actually my fault, in the sense that I'd done something 200 times before, and there's no way that this driver was looking that way to see where I was coming from. He was looking over his left shoulder to see the cars on the roundabout, to join the roundabout. And then last Friday, the police arranged for us to meet. So we went down to the police station. We ended up sitting, having a coffee, having a lovely chat. And I said to him, I explained, because he wanted to know how the accident happened, because he was trying to understand why I was going the wrong way. And I explained the whole thing to him. And we left on very, very good terms. He's a lovely Englishman, been here a couple of years. I profusely apologized because I essentially put trauma through him, and he was with his wife and his 2 young kids in the car. And we get on with our lives, because in this country, whether you're at fault or not, if you run someone over and kill them, you're going to get detained. This is the situation. So it's a bit of a scary prospect. But from both of our perspectives, there's no police charges or whatever else. It's just basically move on, get on with it, and everything else. And I've told them that I'm using my voice to promote road safety for cyclists.
Speaking of using your voice, I'm sure you're aware of the tragic death of Kayna Healy, the Irish citizen who passed away in a road accident last week. And we mentioned at the beginning of the show, our thoughts and prayers are with Kayna at this terribly sad time. She was involved in a road accident. What can be put in place, do you think? What needs to happen to deter cyclists dying on the roads?
Stop cycling on public roads. It's as simple as that. I mean, I'm very well, my ear is to the ground on everything. So I heard about this accident very, very early on. And within 2 hours of it happening, I was being contacted by various news media outlets, because they know that I have a voice and I've spoken about stuff before. Now, I was not in a position to talk about it. It wasn't my accident. There was kind of like an embargo for a couple of days by the family on anything about this while notification went out. But I mean, I'll be really blunt, is the fact that you need to be as black and white about it and say, do not cycle on the road while there are cars. We are gifted fantastic facilities. And even in Abu Dhabi, you have the Hudaria track, you have the Al Wathba track, not as prolific as what we have here in Dubai, but at a world level, there is nothing of the standard anywhere else in the world in terms of what we have, and I've seen it develop. I mean, I posted a picture on the Facebook group the week before my accident, because the UAE tour was in Dubai, and it was a picture that I'd taken from the UAE tour page, with a picture of Sheikh Mohammed standing on a roundabout waving a flag, and my comment was, look at this photo very carefully, because without this man, we would not have these cycle tracks here. And I just wanted people to reflect on the vision that exists in this country, because I remember when the tracks first started being built, which is how I got back into cycling. And we are being gifted these facilities, so let's not think that we are bulletproof and we are immune. Even to a degree, let me say that one of the favorite pastimes we have over winter is we go cycling in the hills. But we just don't drive up into Schalke or Fujairah and go riding on our own. We use support cars, and we have cars that shield us or protect us while we're riding. And even one of the favorite rides is going to Jebel Jays and climbing Jebel Jays. But my thought process on Jebel Jays now is that if I'm going to go back to Jebel Jays, I'm only going to ride up. I'm not going to ride down, because it's become such a tourist place for other things, whereas 5-6 years ago it wasn't. So, we used to go up, first light, go and climb the mountain, come herring down at 60, 70 kilometers an hour and have your adrenaline rush and everything else, but it's just way too dangerous. So I think that, the black and white decision is, do not cycle on the roads. And it's something I spoke to Jonathan, the gentleman who kindly spared my life by not going too fast or hitting me any harder than what he did, was, you've got to remember the fact that if you end up in a morgue, you might not know about it, but everybody else does, the people around you. But also, let's not forget about the trauma that you cause other people who have hit you. Even though it's not his fault, it's traumatic.
Yeah,
You know,
100%.
it's just it's no different to walking through a mall and accidentally coming around a corner and bumping into someone.
Yeah.
Because you're looking at your phone or you're being distracted. It's like there becomes a blame fault type situation, and I think that people need to stop and think really carefully about how their actions will impact other people.
Thank God for your speedy recovery, number one. Number two, of the fact that there's no case on you. But it's amazing, like so commendable that you take so much accountability. Why did you decide to take accountability for this and share your story on Facebook and say, like, this is my fault, I'm taking accountability, and this is how to go about it, and road safety, like, why?
I don't believe in running away. You can't sugarcoat something. I had my own reasons why I do what I do, and I would say 90% of the cyclists that ride from Town Square follow the same course of path that I do. Because if I enter that roundabout and I see the roundabout not full, and so the cars can merge on, I tend to ride up our Quadra Road until the cars are stationary and I ride between them. So it's a 50-50 call. And on this day, I made the wrong call because I didn't think someone was going to ride the roundabout. There's no point lying about it. There's no point trying to blame someone else. That first of all doesn't help your mental recovery from the whole thing. And I'm kind of really thankful that outside is a very big scar on my leg that looks like a shark bite, which I'm going to keep telling people because it sounds a far more interesting story. Okay, my bike is broken and it can be repaired, but you can't repair yourself if you're dead.
Were you at all afraid of losing credibility through this accident?
No. I mean, listen, at the end of the day, as humans, we all make mistakes in life, and I think that one of the I guess being a little bit humble and understanding the reasons for things. I just think we live in a society where often people are always looking for someone to blame. And I don't think that is a great way. I think you come out of it with more credibility by sticking your hand up. Just it's no different to going around a corner, being distracted in your car and bumping into someone. I mean, and no one's going to judge you because you've lost your no claims bonus on your insurance.
Very finally, for those who are not aware, you are a keen member of the cycling community, and you started up the Facebook group 10 years ago, and cycling has gone from strength to strength in the UAE. Do you want to just give us a little bit of background about the Facebook group and about how cycling has changed in your time here in the UAE?
Yep, definitely. I tell you how I actually came to be. I moved to Dubai in 2008. And I remember when I was packing up my house in New Zealand, and I'd been spasmodically cycling, but not very much. And I knew I was going to this desert location with the furnace of a summer, and I ended up selling all my bike stuff in New Zealand. I wasn't using it that much, I mean, it was something that it was hanging in the garage and everything else. So I sold everything kind of reluctantly, never thinking I would ever use it again. And I moved up here, and the first 5 years I was up here, I was just working. I worked in the cinema industry. Managing a cinema, never contemplated that I would get back into cycling. Never saw Dubai as a cycling friendly city, and at the time, my son, who was this is in 2012, so my son was 3. He'd fallen asleep in the car when I'd been at Spinneys, coming back from Spinneys, and we lived not far from where the cycle track is now. So instead of going home, I just decided to just go for a drive out to Bab el Shams and let him sleep a bit. Oh. And this was like in 2012, and I thought, where are these people cycling? There was I couldn't work out. It wasn't on the road, and it was just the start of the track being built, because the track went from where I had my accident, and it kind of went out to Bab el Shams. That's all it did. And I was kind of curious, and I was like, wow, there's people cycling on the track, and didn't really understand, the profile of stuff. And, I'd driven down Shakeside Road a number of times and seen a shop called Wolfie's Bike Shop, but I'd never sort of gone in there. I was kind of thinking, strange, we have bike shops in
wow.
UA. and at the end of the day, I still remember the day. It was just kind of like, I'd taken a couple of days off work. It was my wife's birthday, and had a day with her. And then I said, I'm going out. I've got some stuff to do and everything else. And I went around every bike shop in Dubai.
And I've got some stuff to do.
And I came home, and I was bitten again, and I bought myself a carbon fiber bike with 15,000 dirhams, and I bought the shoes and the helmet and everything else. And then 13 weeks later, I did the Spinneys 92 Cycle Challenge, having not really cycled for 17 years.
Did your wife at the time know that you bought a bike for 15,000 dirhams?
Well, she did when I came home. But they're the bug. Became bitten, but also for me, I have a background in organising events. So at the time I was involved in cinemas, and then I lost my job in 2013. So it actually kind of propelled me back into organising events. So I've organised multiple running events, triathlons, everything else. It ultimately got me, you know, the exposure that I have, and leading the team on the Dubai Run and Ride since they started in 2019, which was, you know, a privilege and an honour to do all that. So it just snowballed from then. And I formed the group in 2012 when I got back into cycling, because I thought, yeah, it needed it, and it's exactly what it says. It's Dubai Cycling Community. It represents what people want. They can click on it, they can learn stuff, they can buy stuff, they can sell stuff. We have 20,000 people on the group. Cycling is nuts, and even since COVID, it's gone crazy as well. Yeah,
it's a very active Facebook page. So if people want to get involved, they'll just find it at Dubai Cycling Community on
Dubai
Facebook.
Cycling Community, yes.
Andy Fordham, we really appreciate your time and your words today. Very powerful, and so thank you so much for sharing them with us today.
My last message is be safe when you ride. Wear a helmet all the time. My biggest bugbear is seeing people with kids with bike seats on bikes, and the adult is wearing the helmet and the child isn't. You know, and if you fall over, you don't have to be going very fast, but if you bang your head and you're not wearing a helmet, it's not a good thing. So please, you know, keep your kids safe, keep yourself safe. Don't let your kids ride on the road, and think about others with your actions as well.
Thank you so much.
Amazing, thank you.
Guys, that is all we have time for on the Lovin Dubai show. We're back with you every weekday morning, same time, same place. We're also available in podcasts. You can listen to us there. That's all from me. Goodbye.
Goodbye.